Okay.
I'm a culture design, just finished up my course. Wanna take it home, take the world on a tour de force. Fruits and trees, flowers and bees, sprouts and seeds, enough for you and me. First come the earth, yeah, you gotta take care of it. Then come the people, then you just their share of it. Design for the earth and you design for yourself. Help design a world better for you and everybody else. Yeah, principle one, observe and interact, or you won't get far, man, that is just a fact. Principle two, capture and store energy, put the water in the ground instead of washing out the sea. Principle three, it's often so tasty, it's obtaining yield no matter what you grow. You got to eat to work to live to make it worth all the hoeing. Principle four, I keep it on track, self-regulate and accept feedback. By that I mean you got to know that things change. Don't be afraid to learn from nature's ways. Because first come the earth, yeah, you got to take care of it. Then come the people and each is their share of it. Design for the earth, design for yourself. Help design a world better for you and everybody else. Principle five is better to be renewable. Hydroelectric solar power, it's super doable. You don't need a tractor if you got a horse. If you got two hands, you don't need brute force. Principle six, waste is an illusion. Nature recycles all while we waste time in confusion. Principle seven, design for patterns the details. Nature got the answer from the spiral to the sweet swell. Principle eight, integrate. Each element multifunctional. Each function support the just in case. Because first come the earth, yeah, you got to take care of it. Then come the people, then each is their share of it. Design for the earth, and you design for yourself. Help design a world better for you and everybody else. One more principles to go. Here we go. Principle nine, get the most for the least. You got to go with the flow. Yo, principle 10, value diversity. One basket too small for all the eggs you're gonna need. Principle 11, all about the edges. Value the margin, less roll, more hedging. Principle 12, be creative with change. Each an opportunity to grow and rearrange. Because first come the earth, yeah, you got to take care of it. Then come the people, then you just get a share of it. Design for the earth and you design for yourself. Help design a world better for you. Everybody else. Everybody else.
Yeah, so welcome to Love is the Answer. And what the hell was that? Well, I'll tell you what that was. That's how I like to live my life. It's my answer to FUD recently in our channel. That's kind of my answer to kind of everything. It kind of ties everything that I'm about, everything that I love about, the world, about people, about environment, about music, about art, all kind of into one roof. So welcome. This is our new series with me and Nathan.
Hi.
Love is the Answer. Shallow Dive with Love, because we're going to try to dive deep into our kind of guests and everything that they're doing. But knowing us, we'll only get about halfway there because there's so much interesting things on the edges, no doubt. We're never going to really get there. So welcome Ordonez of Galleria NFT. And Nathan, welcome. I'm excited to do this show with you. And yeah, take it away, boys.
It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm happy that I could start this journey with such good friends. And it's a beautiful night here in Greensboro, North Carolina. Where you all at? Just wondering. I know, but I want everybody else to know.
I'm in Osaka. That's the crazy sound you hear behind you, like chirp, 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 chirp. These are the cicadas, which apparently in America only come every 4 years. They come every year in Japan. So
you must hate that.
I'm in Ecuador, South America, in Cuenca. It's my city. So yeah, it's nighttime also here, about 8 p.m.
Yeah, it's about 9 p.m. at night here, so it's your morning, Jimmy.
Right? Yeah. I just woke up, which is
You're usually a night owl. You're usually like
right.
practicing the dark arts over there.
Yeah, well, I was awake quite late last night because we were pushing out the changes for YoshiDrops. So I woke up to a whole plethora of messages of unhappy people. That's part of the reason I wanted to play this song, and just tell people to kind of chill out. Because I honestly do believe that we live in a free market economy. And even though I might be semi-socialist, I do think that the free market economy will socialize us all in a way. If we just let it take its course, right? If we just step in on every time that something isn't happening, because I mean, here's my thing, right? Like if I was the owner of Galleria NFT, for example, back in the '60s, and that Andy Warhol dude came to me with a bunch of tomato soup cans or chicken noodle soup cans and said, "Hey, put this up on your gallery," I would be like, screw you, this isn't art. This is like ridiculous, right? And what does it do? It turns around alongside a banana with Andy Warhol and becomes one of the most famous pieces of art of all time, right? So we don't know, right? Like, and this is what we do in society a lot. What we do in society is we stomp down on people. We tell people this is the way things must be. This is the way that things have to be. But when you're in the business of art, when you're in the business of music, and I kind of honestly believe when you're in the business of a lot of these other things that we involve ourselves in, that we should give that freedom. We should allow that balance. And so that's why we wanted to have you here, or Galleria NFT here, for our first episode, because you guys are doing something really interesting in the space. You're working with a lot of interesting people. So yeah, that's my take.
Yeah, and you got a budding music career that you've been doing for a long time. And we want to get into that. We're doing so many things here. And something to touch on what you said, Jimmy, like, there's a lot of changes. There's a lot of like motion here in the uplift in the YoshiDrop environment. And I think there is a degree of patience that people should have, but also let's just have fun with it too. I mean, a lot of this is built around collecting and stuff, and collecting is supposed to be fun. It's not all about business. So I think it's awesome what's going on here. And I think everybody just needs to just take some deep breaths, listen to those cicadas outside and those birds sometimes, and realize that they're here to just kind of help us chill out.
Yeah, I mean, those ones are the ones that are going to need a deep breath for me. So.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it's good. I mean, it's not like none of those feelings are bad. I mean, it's good for people to feel upset. It's good for people to feel happy. It's like, it's just good to kind of embody these feelings and not like shame ourselves for feeling feelings.
Right. I mean, I'm all about shaming.
Yeah.
But here's my thing is like, everything has a polar opposite, right? Like everything has some. If you're creating art that nobody loves, then if you're creating art that nobody hates, then it probably means that nobody loves it. And is it really art? I don't know, right? These are all questions, right? Like, so yeah, let's dive in though. Sorry, I'm gonna have trouble saying this all day unless you teach me.
Ordonez.
Ordonez. So Ordonez, who are you? What do you do? Tell us about yourself. Give us a lowdown for other people who might not know. I know Nathan and I know a little bit, and we're psyched, but.
Yeah, well, my name is David Ordonez, actually, but I don't use that letter because usually people confused about it. I'm a DJ and producer. I've been like almost 20 years doing music and doing events and promoting events, touring and stuff. And well, the thing is, when COVID came, I basically got it's like fuck, basically there's no gigs, there's no chances to promote events or anything. So I was having a hard time. Then a friend of mine introduced me to the crypto world, but mostly like into the investment part. So I was investing in some coins, and then he also showed me NFTs, right? So we had an idea because he's also a producer, a house music producer from Germany. And we had the idea of releasing our music as an NFT. So we started with that idea, but like when I was working on it, I also realized that I know a lot of great digital artists that have worked for me like for my events, for flyers and stuff. So I figured it out. It was like a great idea to bring them to the NFT world because in Ecuador, cryptocurrency is all like either it's considered a scam or nobody knows about it. Like there's people that don't know shit about it, and the other half they think it's a scam. So I knew about the cryptocurrency world, and they had a great art. So we just like merged together to form Galleria NFT.
That's cool. Are you doing anything like on the ground to kind of help people where you're from sort of understand or see that it's not just a scam, but it's sort of like where things are actually headed?
I'm trying to convince these artists that I'm working with to keep some of the sales as a cryptocurrency, not just cash it out as USD and spend it. There's some like really difficult times in some countries here. Like I was talking to the next artist we're gonna release. He's from Peru, and they just have this socialist candidate. He won the elections, but he's like, you can see that he's not really clever and stuff. So they are really worried about it. So he actually thinks it's a good idea to keep some of his money as a cryptocurrency and invest in some good coins and gain some value there.
Yeah, I think it's tricky. I think a lot of people right now are faced with tough decisions when it comes to their native currency, like their fiat currency, and like, what's the move there? Do I take a risk of like maybe doing something that's illegal in my country, like possessing crypto or using crypto, or do I just kind of, risk my actual currency going to zero? But I think there's been a lot of places in your region, I guess, that have struggled with this kind of thing over the last, say, like 20 years or so, especially economically and how currency is involved. Do you think that this is maybe that way that people could help start to overcome this sort of stuff through art, NFTs, cryptocurrency? Do you think that's like the main path, or is it just kind of an ancillary side?
For me, it's like the thing is, a lot of people went to kind of socialism in South America, but the thing is, a lot of people is used to be corrupt here. So we've seen it happen with Venezuela, for instance. Venezuela was one of the most rich countries in South America, and now they're screwed, man. Like if you go there. I have some friends that went there for vacation because it's basically really cheap for us. And if you change $100 in Venezuela, you need a backpack. You change $100 to bolivares, which is their currency, and you need a backpack to change $100. For like buying a beer, you need like a big pack of money like this.
I think the real question is, how many backpacks of money do you need to buy a backpack?
Yeah, you have to take it from other country or.
I mean, but this is insane. And let's go back like to that weird video that Jimmy D showed, because this is just what he does. That has nothing to do with this. This has everything to do with it, right? Like we're in the state now where we're not in control of our own future, because we're not in control of our own money. We're not in control of, these crazy inflation rates. We're not in control of our own goods, because in most of the countries, like where you're living in Ecuador or Peru or Africa, a lot of these people have actually been forced off their land, forced to move into the city, and work for the man, so to speak, right? Like now in the West, we've chosen to move into the city and work for the land because that's where we get all the benefits. That's where we get the crazy music, the insane drugs, all the shit that we're not supposed to talk about. But in the third world, it's a little bit different, right? Or in the developing world, it's a little bit different. Now, the problem with this, the problem that exists in this is the fact that like now when shit hits the fan, when we have something like Corona, when the world tends to shut down, we can't live off of that. Right. And so I think it's a really interesting case study to look at it, because it goes back to like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you know what that is. Right. And you need to be able to sustain for yourself. Right. Like you need to be able to provide your family shelter and food and probably sleep, or you'll go insane. And and but that's like, what's the next thing? The next thing is like care, and we could put art like on that thing, right? And one of the things that I always thought was so interesting about developing worlds is they've never really lost touch with art like we have, right? There's something in there with the soul, with music, in a lot of these countries where people might not consider themselves well off, that keeps them happy. It ties them together in this really interesting way that allows them to feel a part of their community, to feel one with themselves, with their ambitions in the world. And for me, that's the power of NFTs, right? Because for the first time ever, connecting NFTs to blockchain, you're able to bridge that gap between your local community. You're able to send that art or that music or whatever you're doing out there to the world for other people to see. And it actually becomes a baseline sustainability. It becomes this thing that people from another country can look at, can love, can appreciate, and actually pay you as a developing world artist without going through, big corporations that are bringing that to the world. And it can sustain you. It can be your food, right? And it can sustain your community. It can sustain that cultural vibe. So I'm a really big fan of that model. If that makes any sense at all. Sorry.
Yeah, it reminds me of like the birth of, of like streaming, essentially. Like the YouTube era, where you could just take your own content, like, hey, I have a personality, let me hit record and just like put it on this platform somewhere, and then eventually that can be monetized. But this is like removing all of the intermediaries that might kind of sneak in and either censor you or take some of the money for themselves, or just any kind of way that they might kind of intervene. I think that's another way that like NFT stuff is like really interesting in cultures that are outside of just like America,
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you guys like something I told the Burst of Energy the other day. The thing is, I've been in Spotify since 2005, so so in that time, I think I might have made around like $1,000 or $2,000 till the date, like millions of plays, and you get like basically if you divide for the amount of months it has passed, it's nothing. So it's like, for me, NFTs are a game changer because they will allow people to actually get like something that's fair for their work. And that's super exciting for me, and I think it's also super exciting for a lot of our artists that are working with us. So yeah, it's really exciting times with the NFT world for me. It's super cool, and we're just starting to see what it can do.
Yeah, and you think it's kind of like, do you feel sort of like honored or privileged to be able to bring in a lot of people, I guess, from that ground level into this technology? Isn't it kind of like you're getting your hands in there and you're like teaching people this thing that they didn't even really know existed?
Yeah. The fact is, actually, a lot of the artists that are into my Galleria, they don't even believe it's going to work yet, because it's like you tell somebody like, hey, you have these pictures online, I would like to sell them, and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, nobody's gonna pay for pictures, like digital pictures. Like, I can make you like a painting or something, and I'm like, no, I don't need it. I'm gonna sell the actual digital document. And they're like, oh, okay, do it, but I don't think it's gonna work. So when they start seeing that I'm paying them after that, and they're like, wow, this is magic, like something they're never expected to happen.
And I mean, especially on the screen, if you look at those two right images, I mean, I guess I could focus in a little bit maybe. But if you look at those two right images there that are on the screen, let's see. Well, now right and bottom. But what you can see, these are actually like pieces of street art, right? And like, since when have you ever been able to put like street art on the internet and sell it, right? Like this hasn't necessarily been ever possible before. I mean, I guess there's photos by people of street art scenery that gets sold as portraits or whatever in Walmart or something. I don't know. But like this isn't necessarily normal, right? So you're all also beyond like just selling pieces of digital art or representations in digital form of some art. You're actually enabling people who might not have been able to put their craft out there to the world before, I think.
Yeah, sure. Like for example, with Ivan, he when you go into the streets of Guayaquil or this club where I play in Montañita, where I met him, like you see this art, but it's great, it's amazing, but it hasn't been like NFTs give you the chance to see this on Japan, on China, or
Right.
or what on Africa or whatever, and that's just amazing, man. Like I also gain a lot of fans for my music because of NFTs, and I even haven't released like properly my music project yet.
Yeah, NFTs have killed all my ambitions in life. Like NFTs have ruined everything I held dear in my life, and I'll explain this because it's kind of ironic. I get like, I'm pretty relaxed, but I get like weird about things. And one of the things that I had always wanted to do was I had always wanted to travel to more countries than my age. And of course, the older you get, the more responsibilities you have, the more difficult it becomes. And I was always close, but I was never quite there. And then COVID came around and hit, and like it knocked me way off course. And it's like, now with NFTs, I don't need to travel, because the things that I used to love was walking around, looking at buildings, right, listening to music, seeing cool street art. I mean, now I could just come over here to Galleria NFT and see everything that's going on in Ecuador. Yeah, so thanks for that, NFTs, for ruining my love of travel. But like seriously, like when it comes to art, when it comes to like creative businesses and things like this I think is the future, right? Like you said, we can bring these amazing artists, to the forefront of any country in the world, and people that they no longer. So one of my favorite things of all time actually is a story of Van Gogh, and it's not the one where he cuts off his ear. Actually, no. It's the one where.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's the one where he starts to create these really interesting works of Japan. And at that time, Japan was closed to the world. The only thing that they were doing was they were exporting pottery to Europe. And to export that pottery at that time, what they were doing was they were wrapping it with these old newspapers. And mixed in with these old newspapers were these really bad prints of famous art at the time in Japan. They were barely legible. You could barely see them. The color palette was like so watered down. It was ridiculous. And Van Gogh got a hold of these, and he was just fascinated by Japan. So he took these and he made like his own renditions of, Japanese art from that period. And you can still go back and you can see them today. And they're actually like really interesting, because the detail is not really good compared to the original Japanese, but compared to what it was exported as, it's actually brilliant. And he never actually made it to Japan, right? And so I think what's interesting here is you have this whole culture now that's built around NFTs that you can actually experience this, right? You can experience a music concert in a gallery that's happening in Ecuador when you're sitting in Australia, having a drink with your mate at an art museum, right? Like we can play these NFTs on the wall. We can showcase this art on the wall. You can purchase things. You can support artists that you've never even met or you've never even seen, because you like their color palette, because you like what they're doing, right? Like, I mean, try to find street art in Japan. It's almost impossible. Unless you own the building, there's no one painting street art in Japan. I love supporting street artists. How do I do it? Well, now I know I can come to Galleria NFT. I can support even Casanova, which makes me want to support him all the more, because just having a name like Casanova is awesome.
Yeah, very smooth and suave. Like, no good, but it's really good at the same time. I don't know.
So yeah, sorry, go ahead.
And there's also like it's also cool because I have some other artists that they also integrate like the things from our culture, from Ecuador, from like some parts of Ecuador, and they put that on the designs. We haven't released those yet, but we will be releasing like in the upcoming months. and that's also really cool because you get to show not only a cool drawing or whatever, but you get to show some of the culture from our country.
Yeah, so tell me about this one, because I'm really interested in this. Now, like, you've got this image here of this drawing. Nathan's not paying attention because he's off stacking these because he wants them all in his collection. Right. So you've got this image here of this drawing that's, you know, becoming an image with color that's full. Is this the NFT itself? Is actually like this creative process baked into the NFT?
Yeah, I did a couple of versions of that one. The artist sent me the two files, the video and the final artwork. So I did one that only held like the final artwork, and the other one was had the two things, the final artwork and also like this time-lapse video of how he did it. So it's really cool. Like I thought this was going to be amazing because in the beginning you can see he was trying to make something else. Like it was something like a horse or like a unicorn or something, and then he turned it into like a bong. If you see it when he's starting, he's drawing a big, like, I don't know how to say it in English, but the nose you see there.
Yeah, I totally thought that was a unicorn at first too.
Yeah, he changed his mind, and you get to see that, like how he changed his mind and do something different. So
a lot of artists really do cool. That. Like a lot of us don't know like what we're really doing until, or like we'll kind of have like a feeling and we'll go towards it. Like, I don't know about that, and then that'll like literally just morph into a new thing that we didn't even see coming. I can tell that this artist is that type for sure.
Yeah, the cool thing with this guy is also it's doing it by hand. You know, he has the iPad or whatever, and he's like drawing. So yeah, you can change stuff on the go, I think. So that's also really cool. It adds some value, you know. Like it's not like photoshopping stuff. So I like this kind of guys that do the drawing by themselves, especially because I never was good to do that, you know. I think actually I'm jealous when I see these great NFTs and I'm like, fuck, I wish I could draw that good.
Yeah, it's right. One thing you said about like kind of how you can go and fix a mistake. I used to like do traditional style painting, and if you screw that up, it is no fun. And I can say that like digital art is, it's almost more relaxing and enjoyable for sure. I'm wondering, do you think it is going to get like a lot of people, like young people in your area involved in this? The fact that people like your artists are going to actually, their stuff's on walls and clubs, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're actually going to find their way into NFTs as children and maybe find their way out of poverty in some ways?
So the thing is, I don't know if they will. I met some of them. I know that they knew about NFTs before, but not much, you know. But then I bumped into another problem here, and I guess a lot of the same thing happens with another countries in South America and probably another countries in the world, is that we're kind of forbidden of crypto. Like banks block your accounts for exchanges. You cannot buy. I cannot buy like with my credit card on Binance or Coinbase or whatever. I was saying this to I don't remember who I was talking to, but I have an account of in pretty much every single exchange out there. You know, I tried them all, and I tried to buy with my credit card on all of them, and I never could do that. And basically, I'm involved in crypto because my money was outside of my country because I get paid for my music sales and stuff. And instead bringing that to my country, I started to buy cryptocurrency. And that's the way I could get related into this thing, because otherwise it's kind of hard to get to buy the cryptos that you need to start for selling your art. So I guess a lot of people get discouraged because of that,
I think people need to start backing like one out of every, say you're doing 100 mints, people need to start backing like 2 or 3 of those with like a decent amount of crypto. And that'll help onboard the young people. Like it'll also incentivize burning, which will help your kind of, your supply and demand structure there. But I think it's like one way that, Wax enables people to kind of help people in their area and their local economies. The fact that you can back an asset with money, you can essentially set up claims to give away free money to people,
Well, and actually, that's what's really interesting to me, because with NFTs and Wax, for the first time ever, you're kind of, don't listen to this, regulators. Plug your ears, because we don't need any of your funny business into this space either. But for the first time, it seems to me like this isn't necessarily being regulated, right? Like you're being taxed on everything else. You're being taxed on your DeFi gains. You're being taxed on your currency gains. You're being taxed ridiculously so in some countries on every single transaction that you make. But now, as an artist, if you're creating NFTs as an artist and you're moving those pieces of artwork, to sustain yourself. Now, what becomes an interesting thing to note was what happens when it is backed with that Wax, right? But I think that there's a whole host of. I'm not going to do this because I do this on our other show, and we don't need like 10 shows where Jimmy D just like eliminates and goes down this path of like the promise of backing NFTs with things like Wax. But yeah, I think it's really interesting.
I love it.
But you know what the cool thing is that when this starts spreading, so far I know a couple of guys. One of them is actually on the chat from Ecuador. He's Jose from ROAR. And I know another guy that was selling also NFTs. His friend, and I think when the people start hearing about it, start hearing like other artists like Ivan saying, "Hey, I made money with this NFT thing," and it's gonna like spread the word, and like maybe next year we will have a lot of really great artists from like South American countries also getting involved in the movement.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. With what you guys are doing with the art and supporting local artists, like you can have a whole collective of this, right? And I think that's really interesting to be able to do that. I mean, I just want to be in the collective of whatever this is, because this is awesome. And for anyone who doesn't think clowns are scary,
you just want to be collective,
right? And I kind of feel like this clown isn't scary. Batman has demented me for life.
You've been debased. Right? No floor there.
Like, how good is this? I don't even remember Sailor Moon having the little Wonder Woman thing on the top of her head. Does anyone know? Like, is this a combination between Sailor Moon and Wonder Woman, or has she always had that little like thing on her head? I have no idea, but I'm only noticing it now.
Sailor Woman, Wonder Moon.
Right.
Let me check. I'm checking. No, she has. Yeah, she has.
She has. See, I didn't even notice it. Right. Like, and you've got some really interesting, like Clockwork Orange, obviously. Probably some things that I don't know. But yeah,
no, some things are original, like those animations we're seeing right now. Those are original. So yeah, we bring a little bit of everything. I kind of started with the fan art because I know like people, it's more easy to engage people with stuff they know already. But then, like for instance, Ivan Casanova's art is all like original work from him.
Okay, so like I said, I used to travel a lot, and about 20 years ago, maybe a little bit more, the first time I left Canada, I moved to another country. I moved to Mexico. I lived in Mexico City for a while, and every time I stepped out my door, all I could hear was like 70s rock, right? Like Madonna, things like this, blasting from like Ghetto Blaster. So I'm curious, is South America still like that? Like if I go to South America now, am I going to hear like Nirvana and Pearl Jam, or are we still in the Madonna era? And like, where's that art? Because I'm like super
Rage Against the Machine, actually.
No, I don't think so. Right now, like this I don't know if you know about it, but this Latin rhythm that's called reggaeton, it's like all over, man.
Yeah.
That's like a virus that got all people in South America.
Yes, it got me too. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They went really big. Like now they're like.
Is that like is that what Romeo Santos would be considered? Because that's like
no,
one of my favorites.
That's bachata, I think.
Okay, so I like that a lot too.
Yeah, I heard like a lot of Latin rhythms took over. Like I went to Italy like 4 years ago, and you will walk on the street, and there was classes of salsa and bachata on the street for like it was crazy. Like 100 people learning how to dance salsa in the street. You know, like it's really funny because you don't know that that's happening in Europe. When you live here, you don't think that's happening over there.
I just like I showed my age here because like apparently she has that on her head and she throws it, and I'm the only one on this stream that lives in Japan, so I'm probably the one that should know that shit.
I thought you were going to say that you showed your age because you said 20 years ago I did this, and you were like, oh, you're an adult already when you're 20 years ago.
Right.
20 years ago, I was 13. So just saying.
I'm just gonna ignore that, by the way.
I love you.
No, but yeah, fair enough. I'm having a really big conundrum right now. This is really difficult for me, and I'm gonna tell the world about my problems because I really think that I need help. This is causing me a lot of anxiety. This is causing me a lot of issues. But I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this screen of Yoda, hugging R2-D2, which is amazing. And I know what's coming next. I know that Mario is coming next, but I don't like to go back. I don't like to revisit things. So I know once I move on to Mario, then Yoda and R2-D2 are going to be off the screen of this stream for good. And I don't know how I feel about it. We might just have to, shut down this stream with this image. I'm not really sure.
They're going to be gone forever. You handle that?
I love it. I do. I really love this though. Like you said, it's fan art, but it's really unique. It's really beautiful. And it's really
that's a cool thing about the NFTs, because you can, if you like it, you can get it, you can have it on your wallet, and you can see it again and again as long as you wish. So it's also really cool. Like,
right.
It's very cool. It makes me feel good to see him hugging him.
Right?
Yeah, I like to
it's good energy.
Choose some artists that when I check their work, I like to see stuff that even if it's fan art, it has to be different. It's not the same thing. It's not a redrawn of Mario or Yoda, whatever. It's something new.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty big fan of what's going on here. Also, these are kind of spaced out across your website as well. So tell us about this series, because it's become a whole series now.
Is that Mario playing Mario Kart?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. Probably because he will look mad.
Right? He's like, damn it, Luigi! Stop cutting me off. Tell us about this series, because I think this is quite interesting, and I'm kind of curious about the artist for this one.
Yeah,
you've got Medusa here. I'm not even sure who this is, to be honest, but I'm guessing.
Yeah, the thing is, I started, as I said, when I started, the person that I knew it was closest to me was my cousin, and I knew she was making really great artwork. So we started with with the fan art that you saw from Sailor Moon and from Clockwork Orange, and then we moved into more of her original pieces. These ones are still fan art, but it's like underground fan art, because these ones are from friends of her that made like these competitions to remake their characters. So all of these ones are made by my cousin. If you go to
oh wow, That's one hell of a talented cousin.
If you go up and you click on where it says drops or something, up.
Here?
And the top of the there's wax drops.
Yeah.
So there you can see like all of the things we put out.
Okay, show's over. Because when I go into something and it says Mococo cutest fuck blendable, sorry, I'm totally done. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, cutest fuck kid, cutest fuck helmet, blendable Vader phase 1, blendable Vader phase 2, and the Yocat. All right, I'm sold. When can I come to Ecuador and buy this shit in real life?
Yeah, that's a really cool one.
Oh wow. Yeah, these are I'm really impressed. I don't get impressed that easily, to be honest.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I think
I'm impressed you doing some pretty crazy stuff though. So
I have been lucky to know a lot of great artists, and with this thing like Galleria and the NFTs, I'm getting to know more of them. So that's really cool. I get to I actually feel really good because it's I'm able to make some money, right? I'm able to make some money for them as well. I'm able to get their work out there and get to like people from different parts of the world can know Dieter Art or Ivan or Ese Pancho or whatever artist we're having on board, and that's really good. Actually, feels really good. I'm really happy with the outcome of what we've been doing.
You know what the crappy thing about cryptocurrency is if I buy your art gallery, I don't get to keep all the NFTs. Because these are really awesome, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, if it's in the real world, I could just work my ass off for 10 years, buy your gallery, get ownership rights over all these NFTs. But the beautiful thing about NFTs is like the ownership rights are in the wallet who holds them. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. I love some of the old school art that you've been displaying. I like the to bring it back to that Darth Vader one. I like the blendable stuff like that. Do you have any plans for any cool blendables coming up?
Yeah, that's actually the artist for the next big collection.
Okay.
It's called Mococo. He's from Peru, and we're right now like putting all the collection together because it's really cool. Because you know it looks like pixel art, but it's not pixel art, and the characters are really cute. He has some of in 3D. So it has a lot of really, really great stuff. So this one was we put this one as a promo, like a way to see if people was interested in our collection, and it worked out really well. So this is the next collection we're putting out there.
Somebody's intriguing me in the comments. I think Roar, and I just asked him for a link, but I realized that people can't post links in there. Roar is saying you should see the last blend video. What am I missing? What's the last blend video?
The what?
The last blend video.
This one was like the one you're watching right now, because it has sound also, and it's made by the artists like this.
Yeah, the breathing
sound, and it's moving. Awesome. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's not showing my sound. I mean, I'm a pretty big fan. Again, though, I think, yeah, this has got to be my favorite.
Who do you identify with, Jimmy, in terms of Star Wars characters, if you had to choose?
I think I'm a Han Solo.
So like, what do you think makes you that? Is it because you're kind of a maverick?
Maybe, right? yeah. It's like I have this weird affinity for my own rules. Right, like I hate rules, but one of the things I like about Han Solo is like he's all about breaking the rules, but if you break his rules, he gets really pissed off, right?
Yeah, it's freedom. It's like
yeah, and he's just like this is like not like this is not common sense. So you're pissing me off. Stop breaking my rules, God damn it, Leia.
So, I think there's like a plethora of unwritten governing principles that you have to follow in order to get along with them.
Right. And this is why like he loves Chewie. Is like like does he really understand what Chewie's saying? I don't know. But
How is that,
Chewie,
by the way? Listen.
that's really good, actually.
Not bad, right? I'm all right. Call me George Lucas. Is he around still? Am I being insensitive?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't pay attention. But I like, I like these a lot, and I'm a really big fan. I'm really glad that we touch base. So it seems like most of your artists are South American, Latin based. Is this by design, or is this just
the idea when I started was first I wanted to bring some friends because I didn't know how well was it going to work. So yeah, of course I have friends in Ecuador that are really great, but then I started to see that there was a chance to showcase more people from other countries as well. But the idea is always to look for people that are in countries like mine, like I don't know, like someone from US that makes a lot of money, it's probably not in need for me to help selling their art. But if somebody from Ecuador, or from Bolivia, or from Peru, from Mexico might be more like in need for that extra hand. So I rather help, like, for instance, this guy from Peru, I met him on Instagram and I was like checking, and I rather check people that have little bit of followers, like 1,000 or 2,000, some, not more than that. And I rather help these people than help somebody that has like 50,000 followers and he's from the state and works in big firms and whatever, like, so yeah, mainly we're going to focus on Ecuador, on Peru, Latin American countries. If we get some artists from, like, I don't know, from other countries in the world, like from in Africa or whatever, that need help, we can do it as well. But yeah, the idea is not to go with the people that already make good profit.
Yeah, it's just the attitude that is behind these does something for me. I love this like non-traditional, Sailor Moon right here.
Yeah. Some people call her like the after party Sailor Moon. She's been partying for 2 days, like straight.
She's just been up way too long.
Yeah.
I mean, like this Shira is really well done too. I think I'm pretty impressed.
But I like that approach, the the think globally, act locally kind of approach with gathering your artists, and even the reasoning behind it, I think is kind of cool. I mean, I'm in the States and I can say that like I have a lot of friends that they do have opportunities, I mean, even though they might be struggling, like they're passing on opportunities, like they have no right to be complaining in some ways. So I think it's cool that you're helping the people that you are, because a lot of them don't have many opportunities. And
yeah, and it's crazy, like what we just saw during this whole pandemic thing. It was madness, man, because in Ecuador, like nobody got government aid unless you're like super poor, like that people got $60, like I think they got $200 for 1 year and 6 months, as a help from the government. So imagine that, man. Like we didn't get anything. I haven't been playing at all, and we didn't get any support from the government or whatever. So yeah, for me this NFT thing, it's going to change a lot of lives, man, and I hope I can like help people do that.
Right, and I think that like you bring up a really good point, right? Like it's kind of like we're sitting in the West, we're kind of complaining, and I'm not putting people in the West down by any means, right? But we're sitting in the West, we're kind of complaining about the fact that like, oh man, we can't leave our house, like the government sucks, like this is my problem. And you've got people out there who, or we're complaining that like we have to, you know, wait in a hospital line for an hour to get tested, right? You have people out there who have never actually been to a hospital, right? like they don't have healthcare coverage at all. I mean, don't get me started on American healthcare system, but yeah, like it's just fascinating to me when you know, reach beyond borders of what you're used to. And I guess not everyone's ever going to do that unconditionally, right? So I like some of my favorite, like I'm Canadian, so by default I'm supposed to hate America. I think that's like, you know, when we're born, I think they hit us over the head with an American flag, like just so that we, you know.
Yeah, but the thing is that you're all still too polite to hate us.
Right. But here's the thing: some of the best, most amazing people I have ever met in the world are Americans that left America at least once, right? This is the thing, right? Like a lot of our problems in the world don't necessarily have anything to do with the fact that we are, you know, bad people. It has to do with the fact that we don't have exposure to other cultures, right? It has to do with the fact that we, you know, don't have this ability to look beyond our own borders, beyond our own households, beyond our own cultures, and like bringing NFTs like this that can appeal to a wide audience, right? Like these NFTs that we're showcasing here earlier on the screen. This is Homer Simpson, right? This is, you know, Sailor Moon. These are, let's face it, these are, for all intents and purposes, these are first world well-known characters, right? And so now you've got these amazing images of these characters that are renditioned and done by other artists. People are looking at it, they're like, where is this from? They can look at it, they can dive deep, they can figure out, oh, holy shit, this is on Galleria NFT, and this is from an artist in Peru. Right? Like it opens up this whole new world of possibilities for education, because now I'm curious. I'm like, dude, you live in Peru, or like, you know, I thought you guys were like riding around on llamas or alpacas. I don't even know, because I get confused between, you know, which ones have curlier hair, and I'm not even sure. Like you live in Ecuador, like what's going on? Like, how do you know about Medusa, right? So it opens this line of, you know, thinking and this almost like cultural awareness whereby we can actually connect as a whole entire human species, as opposed to just rally around our causes for what's good. Because like, you know, what's interesting to me about that is like, how does Homer Simpson relate to like your normal traditional Ecuadorian life? Because I don't see that happening, right? But there must be some relationship there, right? And there is some
you must have read my mind, dude, because I was just thinking how maybe, you know, you mentioned Andy Warhol and the soup can earlier. Maybe our next Andy Warhol, Marilyn Monroe is actually some artist from Peru with a Homer Simpson that in 30 years is like this, you know, priceless masterpiece. Like, I think that's what we could actually be seeing. Like we're knocking on the door of something crazy like that.
Yeah, I think the problem is that when a country is bigger and more powerful, people in that country tend to think they're the center of the world, and that the things that are outside of that country are not as great or as cool as the rest, like what is happening, you know? Like, yeah, that what Raw says is it's the truth. Like we've seen the Simpsons for like my entire life, and that's actually something that happens quite often. And I remember, like, I'm gonna tell you guys some little story about when a friend, we made a friend from the US that came here from, I think she was from California or something, and she came here for exchange student year, and she was like a whole year here. And she told us that when she decided to come to Ecuador, like all their friends and their family and her parents and shit were like, why the fuck would you want to go to live in the jungle and naked and with like a candle or something, and they don't have electricity and they don't have internet, and what are you thinking of? And they were actually crying. They were really sad because she was coming to Ecuador. And then people come here and realize it's like every city in the world, you know. It's pretty much the same. You have more levels of poor people or whatever, but it's the same. You get to get the same things, the same shows, like the big shows for like TV shows in the world are here as well because they're famous. That's what we get feed in the television. So
I'm gonna end up being on the opposite side of that. I'm gonna be the one that comes back to Canada and just be like, yeah, man, Ecuador was shit. Like, what do you mean Ecuador was shit? What's wrong with? I went there. They've got TV. They've got The Simpsons. They've got air conditioners. Like, I was going to live in the jungle with no clothes and a candle, and I couldn't do it.
You wanted an off-road experience, and you got.
I guess you still can, but you will need to like put a lot of effort to go to the, because there in the jungle part you can take like a plane and go there, but you cannot access it by car, like whatever. It's really hard to get there, but you can actually live like with a tribe, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not something you do like right away. It's really complex to do and takes a lot of time.
Well, we like, yeah. I mean, that was before NFTs and crypto. I mean, now my dream is to like live on some remote island with like, you know, satellite internet. That's going to be perfect for me, right? Like grow back full circle to the beginning, grow my food forest, right, and do whatever I want to do.
But that is relevant. Like that video is very relevant to what we're talking about because, like you said, it's about growing these connections to where we don't need the structure around us. We can actually be a little bit self-sufficient.
Well, and even how we interact with communities as artists or musicians or things like this, or as fans with artists, right? Like, I like this though. I'm gonna have to bite my tongue here, which I probably won't in the end. But Homer is 10 times dumber in Spanish. I mean, Is Homer 10 times right? Is Homer 10 times dumber in Spanish, or is actually, that just the culture?
It's actually really like funny because when you go, like when I've been in Europe or the States or whatever, and you put on the Simpsons, and I hate it, man, because you get used to the guy that talks in Spanish, makes the jokes related to the Spanish, like the Latin American culture, and it's way more funny because when you hear jokes from like usually jokes are related to stuff from US and you don't know like who is the attorney general or whatever, so it's not funny for you. So it's yeah, I think it's dumber here. It's more funny for sure.
I've always wanted to ask you, because last time you were on Ken's show, I didn't get to ask, since you're deeply involved in both scenes, if you could only pick one, visual or audio art, you know, music or art, I guess, what is it? You have to destroy one and get rid of it forever.
No, I think for now the NFT world is not too much into audio. It's really complex to get to do some stuff. It's not something that you do right away. When you see an NFT and you see the art, it catches your attention right away. But with audio, it's not like that. Actually, for instance, it happened to me with the Darth Vader one, because people will see it and I will have to keep on reminding people like, hey, turn the sound. It has sound. It has sound. It has sound. Because most people, just like in the NFT world, you see the artwork and that's pretty much it. So yeah, it's for now we have to do the visual thing for sure. But with my project Crypto Ravers, the one we did the collab with Ken, that's the idea is to make those two together and make the visual thing and also the music thing. So yeah, that's where we're gonna do next.
That's what's up. That's the ultimate goal. That's with your music and stuff. Is there anything like on the horizon that you're super excited about? I know that maybe you have like a big release coming up.
Yeah, so we actually haven't talked about that yet. So yeah, please tell us a little bit about your music, because we haven't. There might be.
Yeah, I want to just touch on it at least a little bit.
Yeah, well, I've been releasing since 2005. I've been releasing on German music labels, Spanish music labels, labels from England. so I've been doing good, man. Like I think a lot of big names from the electronic scene have been playing my music, like Clapton, uh, the Mark Knight, Roger Sanchez, and some other big names in the house music industry. I was doing really good. As I said, it does music doesn't pay because people, like, sadly, that's something I found really great about NFTs, that people are willing to pay for what they love. But like when I was selling my music, like I got people downloaded from YouTube. You know, they release it on YouTube. They just like rip it off, and there's sites selling it. Like you buy a membership for $30 a month, and you can get to download everything for like a for free, basically. Not for free, but each track will cost like $2-3. But with these things, it's some pirate sites that you pay $30 and you get to download whatever you want. Like basically, if you want to download the whole store in great quality, you can do it. So that was something I was doing before. And the thing is, I didn't realize until the pandemic that I wasn't like getting any revenue from the music itself, but my work was to put out a big track out there and try to make it as big as possible, and then people will hire you to play in different parts of the world. And that was how the everything worked for me. But when pandemic hit, I don't have any gigs anymore, and now it's totally different.
Damn you, or ORT or donas. Like, I was trying to stay away from this topic, but you brought me back. Here's the I think the beauty of art and wax and music. I can envision a future. Don't tell the YoshiDrops team that I told you this, because they might not buy into it. But I can envision a future whereby you could potentially back your music concert or your artwork with wax tokens, and every time that played or that showed, some of those wax tokens were in a sense burnt and redistributed back to you. And when that timer kind of ran out on the back tokens, that was when the distribution rights of the person who purchased that NFT kind of disappeared. So it's like looking at it from like an ad space or a concert venue that's online, right? Like, let's say you create this piece of artwork. One of your artists creates this piece of artwork, and for some reason, some multi-billion-dollar company adopts it, and they want to showcase that on a giant billboard in the center of New York. Well, it's very simple, right? They give you a couple $1,000s. They give the artist a couple $1,000s to have that NFT. And every single time or every single minute that it's shown, basically you have this microtransaction that's released back to the artist. And when that timer runs out, then it can no longer be played. It's almost like a Mission Impossible self-destruct box, right? And we could do the same thing with music. We could do the same thing with art. And not only could we, pay artists or musicians for their craft, but one of the issues with NFTs, one of the beauties of NFTs is like you own something transparently, provably, indefinitely, forever, right? Which is much better than CDs, because have you seen how much those scratch? But at the same time, it might be nice in some senses to be able to have, for example, like a piece that was only, for release by a gallery that was never meant to be owned, that people actually had to go somewhere like Galleria NFT or some of these online galleries to see it. And every time they viewed it, a portion of that went back to the artist. And that it would bring, like, I don't think we have the technology right now to do it, if I'm 100% honest, but it would bring like an interesting dynamic to actually being paid as an artist rather than just being paid as a creator, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And there's some also, like, one of the things we thought at the beginning with the Crypto Ravers project was that we could like give the chance to people what you just said, like um, I can give the chance to some DJs that are in the NFT world to have to be the ones that own these tracks that they can play like as an exclusive, and that will be really cool. Like if you buy the NFT, you are buying a track that it's not on the other like mainstream stores for electronic music, and you can get to play exclusive music from Ordóñez or whatever other artists we have on board on your shows, and that's also really really cool. Something we really liked about the NFT space.
Yeah, I think the Latin scene is about to break into the NFT space big time, as someone actually mentioned in the chat. But is there anything out of your region that you think that we don't really know about yet? Like we're about to get something crazy dropped on us.
I don't know.
You have any fire that you're hiding?
From my Galleria, I don't know. There's well the I like to. We talk with them Blue and Yoshi, so that's something that has me like excited. I don't know what's going on, like where it's gonna lead to, but it's part of this project as well, like the Crypto Ravers project and YoshiDrops, hopefully. And yeah, we'll have some other artists. I have actually this week, I'm releasing tomorrow a new NFT from Dieter Art, and she's the one from the Sailor Moon artworks and stuff. But these are her original designs, so these ones are not fan art. And I do have some land in the uplift, but
you do really bad to. You do or you don't?
Yeah, I do have, because Ken gave me away from some some land, but there's some problem with me. I don't know what happens. I'm really bad with games that are in first person. I get dizzy like in 5 minutes, man, and then if I keep on playing, I'm throwing up in 10 minutes. So
well, I mean, you can whitelist other people to do it. So reach out to me. We can talk about that. Nathan, and thank you, Roar. That was really unexpected and really nice. But do you have a wax address? We didn't put them in the comments.
I still don't have a uplift thingy, which is crazy. I don't have.
What? No. Do you have a wax address?
Oh yeah, it's OL2. This is the one I use for all this stuff. OL2QY.wham.
OL2QY.wham.
Yeah. I'm careful.
OL2QY.wham. Right, I'm not. I'm Kansai Crypto. Explain with 2 Ks though. Explain how you manage the IPFS issue. Most everyone in the NFT collections now moving to NFTs that require IPFS services creates a risk for investors and collectors. Yes, but this is one of the problems that Wax actually solves. I believe everything on Wax. I could be wrong, Nathan, or Donas. You can correct me if I am wrong, please. But I was under the impression that just about everything on Wax nowadays that was released is actually 100% verifiably on chain. I believe it's other NFT projects that are using IPFS hosting services. I've heard that these hashes still exist. So if the IPFS hosting service goes down, you can rehash it to a different IPFS hashing service, which personally I'm not a fan of. I like the fact that it's all on chain, as opposed to like just being able to recreate that hash. I still think that there's value to having everything 100% fully on chain, which is, I believe, what Wax does. But do you want to maybe talk about that a little bit, or Donas?
Yeah, I think it does, but there's a little problem when it comes to big files, because Wax can only hold a 7 megabyte file. That's the top weight that a file can have. And for instance, my files from Ivan Casanova are really big because the actual size of the artwork is really big. So I didn't want to bring it down because it gets fucked up. So I kept it in the same quality. So that meant I couldn't use the embed. I don't know how to say it, like the I couldn't put it on the NFT directly. I have to use Pinata. So I think that's the problem. But when I'm having like a small file, I always use the wax directly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Nietzsche, and I'm going to have to look into this because that's not my understanding of it. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's really good information to know. So I do apologize if I'm misinformed there.
I think it's I mean, I'm not totally positive. I know some changes have been made, but I'm not exactly sure sometimes. I think the weight of the files needs to be increased, but I'm not sure how they can actually do that. That's the one thing, like a lot of platforms on ETH have giant file size abilities, but you have the gas. Over here you have low file size, but it's free essentially. I mean, there's always some sort of drawback, but I mean, I don't want to say too much, but I know like a lot of people in kind of our industry that are working on that specific issue. So I wouldn't anticipate that lasts like more than like another 6 months to a year.
Yeah, they have to improve that thing because yeah, it's really annoying that you only have 7 megabytes to upload something. Like if you want to put a track there, it's going to be more than 7 megabytes for sure.
I mean, I was super annoyed last night. I was trying to update our cover image for this live stream. The right side of the image was, from your gallery, or Jonas. The left side was something that Nathan created specifically for this show, and it wouldn't let me upload it as a YouTube thumbnail because it was like too big. And I'm just like, God, I had to change it to JPEG. So I get that it can be annoying, but anyway, I got another stream coming up very soon, and but I would love to have you back again, either on this show or another one, because I really appreciate what you do. I would actually love to see you on a roundtable, or even some of your artists on a roundtable, that Corey and I do sometimes, or come back here on this show with us. We're going to do this weekly. Around this time, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later, whenever.
Yes, we dare you because we love you.
Right. But if there's anything that you want to leave our viewers with, or Donas, about Galleria NFT, now's the time.
Thank you guys for having me, for inviting me. I had a great time, and for the people that joined also, and the people were commenting and stuff. It's really bad that it doesn't show on the screen like the comments all the time, because it would be cool to answer more what they're saying. But thanks to everyone, and keep on supporting our art. Keep on supporting small artists. You're changing lives here. Like it's literally you changed my life. And you're changing every single artist we bring on the table, because it's a really hard time for us, and this is helping people, with their everyday expenses. For I've seen some people, like you mentioned before, like it's funny for me because sometimes I see somebody like, hey, there's this $200 NFT, and I'm gonna buy it, and I'm gonna buy this other one, and I'm gonna buy this other one, and you feel like, dude, there's people here that will live with this $200 the whole month, So you're helping this. We're not extremely poor. Yeah, I don't want people to think that we're like living on the streets or whatever, but it's hard to make money out of art here, and with supporting our drops, you're supporting these people and helping them to grow and do what I love. We all want to do what we love. Thanks.
100% agreed. 100%. What's our slot? What? Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to just end like real quick. We can sign off any way we want, but I was thinking about just asking maybe like a really important question that everybody's wondering. So I would like to ask you: would you rather wrestle like a tiger or a bear, and why? I think that's the important part, is why.